What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. So I've done a couple videos like these already, mostly focused on Kakarot though, someone else raising him. I did do it once with Tarble, but it's mostly been focused on Goku. But this time around, we're going to be trying something a little bit different. A similar concept, but applied to a different character who's also a fan favorite, Vegeta. Now, as you could probably guess, it would be a bit harder to make a what if like this, but I have the perfect idea for who to raise Vegeta instead of his normal upbringing. This time around, Beerus is going to be the one raising him. But how's that even going to come about and how's that going to work? Well, stick around and find out. For this video, let's set a like goal of 4,000 likes. If we hit that, I'll continue with another part of the series and make it a full story. Anyways, let's begin. So, one thing that I should note is that the story will mostly focus on Vegeta at first. Don't expect too much regarding Earth. I will cover it briefly here and there, but as the series goes forward, if there's not much change on Earth, it's not going to get as much focus because it is Vegeta oriented. There will have to be a lot changed here, but I have a pretty good idea of how to do this. First off, there's Beerus. Right after he suggests to Frieza to destroy the Saiyans, he goes to sleep and immediately has this dream. He has a dream about a Super Saiyan God. He isn't sure what it is or what brought about the dream, but he can probably tell it's related to what he just told Frieza. He jerks back awake. It's a relatively short nap, about a year or so, which is very short for someone like Beerus. And it's probably already too late. Damn it, he shouldn't have told Frieza to destroy the Saiyans. He tells Whis about this dream, the Super Saiyan God. He wants to find it. And Whis does have some good news. While the Saiyans were destroyed, at least most of them, there were some people that escaped planet Vegeta, at least to his knowledge. It seems that there's some Saiyans in the Frieza Force still. There might be others out there too, but he doesn't really care about that. Mostly Beerus is focused on those 3 Saiyans. That's a surefire thing at least. He can go to seek them out before Frieza gets his hands on them. For all he knows, Frieza's gonna kill those guys too. He's angered. But he cools down when he realizes that this is kind of his fault. He shouldn't have been so rash with Frieza. So, he seeks out Frieza, going to his army, and meeting with the man himself. Frieza's surprised to see Beerus is back here. He thought Beerus was gonna take a nap, but apparently he did, and he just woke up from it. Quite a short nap for him, but whatever, Frieza's not gonna question it. He wonders why he's here though, he will question that. And Beerus explains to Frieza, he needs to find a Saiyan. Are there any left in his army? It seems like there are, so Frieza shouldn't lie about this. And Frieza says, yes, there are 3 left that he knows about. He's not sure if any others escaped or whatever, but he knows for a fact that there's 3 left. One of whom would probably be pretty intriguing for Beerus, the son of King Vegeta, Prince Vegeta. And you know what? If Beerus wants to take him off Frieza's hands, he'd be perfectly fine with that. Although he tells Beerus, please leave 2 Saiyans at least. They are pretty strong soldiers. They'll be nice to have in his army. They are a rare commodity after Beerus' suggestion after all. And Beerus doesn't like the fact that Frieza's trying to bargain with him. But again, this kinda is his fault, so he should probably live with the consequences. Plus, he only needs 1 Super Saiyan God. He doesn't care about the 2 weaker ones. He's gonna go for the strongest one, Vegeta. Apparently he's a prodigy. Besides being the son of the king, which basically just proves that he's gonna be strong, Frieza says that he's growing quite fast as a warrior. So, Frieza seeks him out, finding Vegeta for Beerus. They find him amidst his training too, and Beerus gets to see firsthand. And Beerus approaches him. Vegeta's pretty terrified of Beerus, having seen how he treated his father and all. He knows Beerus isn't one to be messed with, and he wonders, is Beerus here to kill him or something? No, quite the opposite actually. Beerus offers him an opportunity. He asks, does he know anything about a Super Saiyan God? And this not only makes Vegeta perk up, but Frieza too. Beerus mentioned he had some premonition, but not about a Super Saiyan God. And this kind of terrifies Frieza. A Super Saiyan God? Thinking about that in a Super Saiyan. It makes him nervous, and if Beerus is here, there must be some truth to it. He hopes it's not true though, but if Vegeta's gonna be taken off his hands, he might not have to worry about it. If it truly is a thing. And, much to his relief, Vegeta says he knows nothing of it. All he knows is legends about a Super Saiyan. But Frieza tells Vegeta he had a premonition about it, and his premonitions are not something to be taken lightly. He knows that a Super Saiyan God can be made, and he thinks Vegeta would be the perfect candidate, and also he pretty much is the only candidate as far as Beerus knows. And of course, Vegeta doesn't like Beerus, not one bit, but he likes him more than Frieza. That's mainly because he doesn't really know Beerus, and Beerus seems a lot more laid back as a god of destruction can be in comparison to an emperor that just destroys everything. So it might be better to go off with him. Vegeta hates Frieza after all too, and his hatred for Frieza is greater than that for Beerus. Plus, if this power really is true, he could just train with Beerus and then come back here, killing Frieza like he's always wanted. So, kind of reluctantly, he does agree to go with Beerus. I mean, he doesn't really have any other choice. Either stay here, be enslaved by Frieza, be killed by Beerus for denying him, or go with Beerus, get stronger. Even if the Super Saiyan God doesn't exist, he'll at least get some nice training out of it. At least it seems like that's going to be the case. And Beerus is elated, with Whis and him taking Vegeta back to Beerus' planet. It leaves Frieza in a pretty odd position. There's those other two Saiyans left. Should he just kill them, or should he just keep them around? Well, for the time being, he'll keep Raditz and Nappa around. Like I mentioned, they are pretty strong soldiers after all. He might have some use for them. Anyways, onward to Beerus' planet. Vegeta arrives there, and immediately they begin the training. He asks Beerus though, what's the plan for becoming a Super Saiyan God? If they know nothing about it, what is he supposed to do? Well, that's what Whis is there for. Beerus isn't actually going to be the one training Vegeta, although he does want to test his power. And of course, it's nothing impressive. Vegeta's a kid, and even though he's strong for a kid, I mean, come on, he's incredibly weak in comparison to Beerus. That much was obvious and Beerus kind of knew it, but at least gauges his strength a little bit. And now Whis knows what he's working with. Vegeta has some fighting abilities, which is great, and he is pretty strong from the start, relative to how strong he should be. But he has a long, long way to go if he wants to match with Beerus. So, the training begins. First, they just need to increase Vegeta's strength, and thankfully Whis has just the thing for that. With his training, he can give Vegeta such effective techniques that he'll be so unrecognizably stronger. His techniques will improve greatly, but on top of that, his strength will improve greatly. But he warns Vegeta, be prepared for the most brutal training of his life, and Vegeta's ready for it. Remember, his idea in mind is that he wants to get strong enough to defeat Frieza. And as he learns more about Beerus and Whis, maybe one day, he could be a candidate for a god of destruction. Beerus flies the idea by them, but it seems pretty outlandish at the moment given Vegeta is still a child and barely strong enough to do anything. Although the idea does cross Vegeta's mind. Imagine that, him being a god of destruction, ruling the universe. He has a new goal in mind. He doesn't care how far-fetched it is, he's gonna achieve it. The first step to becoming a Super Saiyan God in Vegeta's eyes might be becoming a Super Saiyan. That legend he actually does know a little bit about, and maybe if that's real, it could be the first step. I mean, it's called a Super Saiyan God for a reason. Of course, they don't know that the two are kind of unrelated, and he might not necessarily need one to get the other, but it would be a good place to start. But how is he supposed to unlock Super Saiyan, if it even exists? That's where Whis comes in. He'll be able to effectively analyze Vegeta, figuring things out about the Saiyans that he might have not even known, and he knows that Vegeta grows relatively quickly with Zenkais and all. Could that be the key to it? Well, it doesn't really seem so. No matter how badly injured Vegeta gets, or how rough his training is, nothing is making him become a Super Saiyan. I mean, Vegeta thinks he is. Every time he gets stronger from being healed, he gets such a huge increase in power that he thinks maybe now he's a Super Saiyan. But also at the same time, no, this can't be it. These are just normal power boosts that he gets as a Saiyan. Whis is impressed with how quickly he's growing. Granted, he's still very weak in comparison to him and Beerus. That much is obvious, and it's probably going to be that way for a couple years, maybe decades. But Vegeta's already grown multiple times stronger within the first few months. At this current level, he's stronger than pretty much any other Saiyan that's ever existed. At least to his knowledge. They stopped tracking power levels. But he estimates that if he were to track it by now, he'd probably be in the 50,000 range, which is amazing, especially for a kid like him. As expected for an elite Saiyan like himself, the Prince of the Saiyans. And you know, Beerus is actually warming up to him. He wasn't too sure about this at first, but Vegeta's growing at an incredibly quick rate. And at first the two didn't really like each other, but Vegeta's also getting more fond of Beerus. He doesn't like him, but he admires how Beerus carries himself and such. He does want to be like that one day, being the god of destruction in Universe 7. So, he might need to emulate Beerus. Remember, this is about Beerus raising him after all. Vegeta's very impressionable at this point. He is still a kid, and with Beerus being the main figure in his life as well as Whis, he's gonna get a lot from them. He will retain a Saiyan side, of course, but he's gonna develop radically differently than how he did normally. Whis is not only physically training Vegeta either, he's training him mentally too, acting as a guardian for him since Beerus seems to not care about the child's well-being too much, but he is present. It's best for all of them to do this to get along, and to make sure Vegeta doesn't go rogue or whatever. And it does end up working out. As I did mention though, we will briefly cover Earth, so let's start here. As you could probably expect too, everything's gonna go normally until the Saiyan Saga. No matter what happens with Vegeta and everyone out in space, Kakarot was still sent to Earth and nothing would have affected what happened there. Kakarot turns into Goku, Goku has all his normal journeys, blah blah blah, skip forward a few years, and now we arrive to after the 23rd World Tournament. A couple years after actually. And this is where things begin to really change. Raditz eventually does go to Earth. Without Vegeta there too, they really do need an extra Saiyan. He left so long ago and never returned. It's been so long at this point, nearly 2 decades. But at some point, he definitely would try and get Kakarot to join him, and now he's here on Earth. He's gonna be a lot more careful this time. As I mentioned, it's just him and Nappa. He doesn't really have much backup, and Nappa is still out in space alone though. They really do need more help, so he wants to tread lightly here. He doesn't want Kakarot to turn against him, but he also does need some of that brute force. Although, even though he ends up being more careful, things escalate a little too quickly and it pretty much goes the same as normal, meaning Goku dies. As well as Raditz too. And now, Nappa's gonna be heading to Earth, trying to pick up the pieces, maybe trying to recruit Kakarot, and in the worst case, he's just gonna kill everyone there. But this kind of terrifies Nappa because he's the only Saiyan left in the Frieza Force. Frieza can do whatever he wants now. He probably would be better off going to Earth and trying to escape there. And since the encounter with Raditz kind of ended normally, well, training leading up to the Saiyan quote-unquote saga, I don't even know if you can call it the Saiyan saga anymore because it's just Nappa. I mean, it still is a Saiyan coming to Earth, but it's so different now. Anyways, training's gonna go normally. As far as they know, there's gonna be a strong Saiyan coming to Earth soon. So they train in preparation for him. And then they encounter Nappa himself, and it's just Nappa. Of course, he might have some Cybermen with him. But thankfully, the group is a lot more cautious this time with them, taking on the Cybermen and facing no casualties at all. Oh crap, well, those guys were kind of weak, so maybe Nappa still stands a chance. Not really. He has the entire group against him, and while individually they might be weak in comparison to him, collectively, they greatly overpower him. And there's also one thing that you should probably consider too. At some point, Krillin will probably try his Kienzan, and without Vegeta there to warn Nappa, well, Nappa's gonna get cocky and try to tank it, trying to eat the Kienzan. I'll spare you the graphic details, but it doesn't end well for Nappa. Piccolo jumps in front of Gohan, shielding him, or at least shielding his eyes. And they watch the top half of Nappa's head come off. Ew. Goku arrives not long after, and even though he was late, it seems everything went okay. They're able to handle themselves against Nappa, and thankfully there were no casualties. And now, Goku's back too. So, is that it? Also, Frieza's not gonna get word of the Dragon Balls. Nappa really only went to Earth not only out of his own safety, but also to try and recruit Kakarot one more time, or at least get revenge against him. He didn't even care or hear of the Dragon Balls, and Frieza wouldn't either. It's a pretty unceremonious end, but now, everything's back to normal on Earth, and they're happy and peaceful. Which will drastically change the story on Earth too, but like I said, this is more so Vegeta focus. Speaking of that, let's get back to Vegeta. It has been a while since we last covered him, or at least in the scope of the series so far. We basically skipped like 20 plus years ahead by now, meaning Vegeta is a very different person at this point, not only in terms of his personality, but in strength too. With all these years spent with Beerus and Whis, basically with them being his guardians and the people raising him, Vegeta's now a full-grown adult. Actually, a little beyond that too. He's been fully grown for a while. And that's the thing, with how much time has passed, he 100% would have Super Saiyan by now. He unlocked it a while ago, and he's been training rigorously ever since. His power, it's actually pretty impressive for a mortal. Beerus can't even believe it. He knew Saiyans could grow really strong, but this is something else. And he could already sense it. With how long Vegeta's been here, he already does have God Ki within him, and not just trace amounts either, pretty big amounts too. And I know it's only the first part, so it might seem kind of surprising to do this. But realistically, by this point, who knows? Maybe Vegeta could get Super Saiyan God by now. It's been so long that he's been training here. And yes, he did start out much weaker and all. But in terms of having God Ki within him, he definitely would have more than enough by now. Vegeta originally got Super Saiyan God in the story by just training there. And here, he would have trained more than long enough. And he's probably more than practiced with it too. So, as they've done many times before, Beerus and Vegeta get ready for a battle, with Vegeta powering up into Super Saiyan God. He's been trying to ascend it for a while at this point, and Beerus feels like he might be on the cusp of something new. Vegeta's completely unaware of all the events happening across the universe, especially with his former crew. He's gone down a completely different path and is now living a very different life. But what's going to happen going forward? And how much has Vegeta changed as a person? Well, we'll be saving that for later. This is where we'll leave off for now. So what did you guys think about this part? What do you think is going to happen next going forward? Be sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think. And also, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. Also, if you haven't already, why not subscribe? And hit the bell icon so you're notified about any future parts of this series. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.